It's autumn or fall if you're in the States, and this is one of my favourite times of the year to be on the river. As you can see upstream, the colours of the leaves are changing: golden, olives, browns, yellows, reds, beautiful colours. And it's a time of year where we use nymphing techniques predominantly as our main form of catching fish. And these are the types of nymphs that are my personal preference for using for catching trout and grayling. This time of year, of course, it's the end of the trout season, so we're going to be concentrating on grayling. Now, some people prefer check nymphs, and they're fine, but I prefer bead-headed flies. Now, all these flies have tungsten-headed beads, and they're all between 3 and 4 millimeters. And by selecting 3 flies on a 3-fly rig, I'm aiming to get the right depth when I present the flies. And I'm using short line techniques, so what's known as check nymphing or Polish style nymphing techniques. And what I'm aiming for is for the flies to be tickling the bottom. I don't want them so heavy that as soon as the flies are in, they're on the bottom and they're dredging the bottom. That's too heavy. Neither do I want them to be swinging instantly downstream. That's too light. So it's getting the balance. So right now I'll set the rig up with these flies and hopefully catch a fish for you to see how we use these short line nymphing techniques. Beautiful, beautiful autumn colours. Now I've got a bit of sunshine coming through. I've eyed up the rod, and this is a nylon leader which is about 60 feet in length, and it's got a 22 feet taper on the front and an inline non-floating bite indicator. This is an on-stream guide indicator. It's available on the website if you're interested. Beautiful knotless tapered leader, and I don't use any fly line at all. This large arbor reel at the long nylon nymphing leader is tied directly to the backing on the reel. The rod is 10 feet. A 10 feet rod gives you significant advantage in control. When we're fishing under the rod tip in these techniques, the 10-foot rod is more ideal than a 9-foot rod. So it's a 10-foot rod, and it's only a 3/4 weight, and I'll even use a 2/3 weight for lighter. But today we've got quite a bit of flow in the river. It's quite high, so I'm using a slightly heavier rod for slightly heavier nymphs. Onto the end of this indicator, I've tied about 8 feet of tippet material, and today I'm using Orvis Super Strong. This is 4X, so it's quite strong, and it's about 8 feet. And the reason I've tied about 8 feet is that I'm going to use the end of the line to tie a couple of droppers. So I'll take about 10 inches, clip that off with some scissors, and this will form my top dropper. So just down from the indicator, maybe 1.5 foot, I'll bring that level, and I'll tie a simple 3-turn water knot. Very simple knot there. This also known as a surgeon's knot, but very effective for tying droppers. So I'll go through with the tag end and all of the rest of the tippet material. So there's 2 strands, pull through twice, pull through 3 times. That's a 3-turn water knot. As with any knot, always moisten with saliva and pull tight. Now, importantly, when we tie the fly on, we tie on this downward tag, not the upward tag. People think that will stand out more from the line. That's not the case. It's much stronger, and it's much better to fish tying on the downward tag. And I'll repeat that process. So that's the first dropper for the first fly. And so the total length of the rig, so I'll take off another 10 inches, the total length of the tippet from the end of the indicator will be about 6 feet. And this will be a 3-fly rig, and I'll show you exactly what flies are going on and where and why right now. I'll tie this last 3-turn water knot. 1, 2, 3, moisten. And what I'll actually do with these upstream sections is trim them quite close to the knot, because they'll get in the way and they're not useful, so we're just left with 2 droppers and a point, so 3 positions, and we're going to tie 3 flies on right now. And the first fly is going to be the Black Magic Nymph. This is available on the website on onstringguide.com, and I'm putting this on the top dropper, and this is basically a black fly with a CDC hackle on a jig hook and a 3mm dark tungsten bead. It's a very, very effective nymph, this one. I've caught many fish on it, and I'm just going to tie that on there with an improved clinch knot or a tucked half blood knot. Trim that back, and that's the first dropper. Now the catching fly, which is the middle dropper fly, will be a caddis pattern, and I've almost dropped it but not quite. This has got lots of inherent movement on it. This will be featured on the website shortly. And caddis patterns are basically the food source of fish feeding at this time of year. The rivers lift and fall with rainfall and shift the caddis along the bottom, and in a river like this it makes up a large proportion of the bottom feeding fish's diet, and today we're fishing for grayling, Thymallus thymallus. And again on the middle dropper, again a tucked half blood knot, moisten, slide that down, and we can see that beautiful caddis pattern with lots of inherent movement. I like to tie flies and patterns that have plenty of inherent movement, and so we have a black pattern on the top dropper, a caddis pattern on the middle dropper, and on the point I'm going to put a flashback nymph, this one with a flashback, and fish are very fond on flashback nymphs. Both trout and grayling are real suckers for flashbacks, and my own opinion is that they don't see the flashback as reflective silver foil as we see it, but they see it as translucent. They see it as see-through, so they see a big juicy bug. So finally we'll tie on this final fly, and we'll get fishing right in front of me right now and see if the fish are going to take these nymphs presented right under the rod tip with close control, tickling the bed. Now the bed stream here, the stream of the river, is gravel with some mixed rock, and this is ideal for these techniques. Don't do this technique where it's too rocky, or you'll spend all your time losing your flies. It's important that your flies can roll or bounce along the bottom. So let's get started right now. So here are the 3 flies, and I'm not going to fish any line beyond what I've got in my hand, which is about a foot longer than the actual length of the rod. I'm just going to flick them straight out, 45 degrees of the stream, let them straight turn, track down, inline to the tail turn, and pull. Tell me that the grayling has taken the fly. There we go, almost straight away. That's on the Black Magic Nymph. Fantastic sport, beautiful grayling. Always wet your hands when you handle these fish. Pretty little grayling. So that was almost instantly, as you can see. And the Black Magic Nymph, a beautiful, beautiful fish. And this is a feature of short line nymphing techniques. If you're not occasionally snag in the bottom, it means you're too light. So although this is an occupational hazard, this technique, snagging the bottom, it means that I'm fishing correctly, the flies are the correct weight. Taking the bottom blocker, which is the flashback. Right out in front of you there. Lovely grayling. Get that flashback now. Beautiful barber foot sticks right out. Now, beautiful little fish. Back for another day. Try and keep them under the surface and try and not let them get too far downstream, and better fish that one. To the top rocker, black magic nymph. Beautiful fish, nice female. There we go, no need to use the net, it can damage the take off the protective slide. Handle them very gently, and beautiful, beautiful grayling, perfect condition. She'll slip us right back straight away, and off she goes. So as you could see in that small piece of water there, I caught 3 fish in just a few minutes fishing using 3mm tungsten beaded flies fished directly under the rod tip. This technique, although I've just applied it for catching grayling, is equally good for trout, and it's a very useful modern European technique. This technique, of course, was first introduced by the Poles and used by the Czechs to devastating effect in the World Championships on the Welsh Dee. And it's still a very good method for catching fish today. Direct contact nymphing, right under the rod tip, in contact with your nymphs, and it's probably one of the most effective methods of catching grayling in conditions like this. But there are other methods, and I'm hoping, grayling being grayling, that we'll see some rising on dry flies, and we'll be able to use some other techniques other than these fixed line techniques. But this is the first one, fixed line nymphing, and so let's see if we can find anything rising on the dries now. So after the success with the nymphs, I'm going to try the dry fly, and I'm using my trusty Sage 389 light line, 3-weight rod, 8'9", and I'm using a furled leader. That's available from onstreamguide.com. I strongly recommend these for dry fly work. They aid presentation a lot, and I've come to find some rising grayling in a big, wide, gravelly tail. This time of year in autumn, grayling often sit in these tail areas on the gravel, and they'll sit and they'll basically pick off everything that comes down. It's very important when we cast a dry fly at these rising fish that we keep the fly dead drift. With all fishing, it's not always necessary to use dead drift on a dry fly. On a caddis pattern, for example, twitching can work, but with grayling, especially grayling sitting in these tails like this, dead drift is an absolute must. If the fly drags, the fish will refuse. Now, I'm hoping you can see 1 or 2 fish moving behind me. There are 1 or 2 fish, and so I'm going to target those right now with the dry fly. Pretty fish. Try not to grip grayling too hard and they can relax a little and not jump out your hand and twist too much. If you grip them they tend to twist and wriggle, and this damages the fish as well, so if you hold them very lightly, most of the time they will relax in your hand. I've dried the fly after that first fish. The fly, by the way, is on onstreamguide.com. It's the pale water, size 15. Grayling do like this fly. It's one of my favourite flies for grayling. There's one or two more fish rising. It's very sparse and very occasional rises, so they're not easy fish, but let's see if I can catch a couple more for the camera. Quite tricky today on the dries. This water in these tails is very complex, very difficult to get the right flow. And when you do, and the presentation's right, you're rewarded with these very pretty grayling, almost virgin fish, probably never caught before. Handle them very gently, and as I say, they'll sit nicely in your hand, you won't twist. Don't hold them tight, they'll twist and they'll hurt themselves. And that's beautiful autumn grayling, changing colours in the trees, iconic of this time of year, and back she goes. Nice fish. Don't like them to get downstream with grayling. They have a habit of throwing the hook. So gently coax him back upstream, let him think he's going there under his own steam. And then when he's much closer, you can get some control over him. Nice little fish, this one. And again, another tail rising grayling bites the dust. Lovely fish, absolutely gorgeous. Well, this looks straight out. Again, handle them nice and gently. And back he goes, full of energy. Fantastic fish.